guys, welcome to the first part of my 200 subscriber special. This is kind of my choice of starting this new series, potentially. No one suggested it, it was just kind of an idea that intrigued me, and I thought it would be pretty interesting. So, a little background on the series. Basically, if you go on eBay or something, and you just type in gaming mouse and then sort like your selections from lowest price to highest price, you'll see like a whole assortment of gaming mice that you can buy for under $1 or for just about $1. So I thought that was pretty interesting, and unfortunately it's not actually that reasonable, because although it's like a mouse for $1, it's not going to get to you until like 1 or 2 months after you order it, because all the shipping is from China. Regarding the actual mice, I've seen a few different models, but all of them seem to be in the same realm of quality, so I wouldn't bat an eye over, which one's better than another. I just picked one out and go with it. So I guess this is also related just with the whole trend on YouTube now. Everyone's making videos on $1 gaming mouse versus $30 gaming mouse, or versus $50 or $100 gaming mice, and a lot of these YouTubers are coming to the conclusion that it doesn't really matter what mouse you have, and then they'll show gameplay of them winning a fight with the good mouse and them winning a fight with the bad mouse. So I don't know, that's very inconclusive, and I decided to answer this once and for all. So I guess it's a little bit of a fun experiment. It might not be as scientific as I would like it to be, because there are a bunch of different factors that play into this. But anyway, I figured, what's the harm? It's a $1 gaming mouse. If it goes badly, lost $1. Whoops. So a couple questions that I have. So the first one being, does your mouse matter for PvP, obviously? And the second one being, if it does matter, how much does it matter? Maybe some new questions would arise from playing the game more with the bad mouse, but we'll see. So the first thing I thought about after asking these questions was how dependent these questions are on playstyle. So you have high sensitivity players and low sensitivity players, and that would make a huge difference in terms of how much the player is affected by a different mouse. So, for example, I'm assuming that a lot of these mice are going to have bad sensors, and so therefore would not be able to keep up with high pace movement, which is, I guess, more prominent in low sensitivity players. So I would guess that low sensitivity players would struggle more with a bad mouse than a high sensitivity player would. So the other thing I want to address was aim in general in Minecraft. So usually when you aim in Minecraft, at least when you're concerning melee, it's more general accuracy as opposed to pinpoint. So like in Minecraft, at least melee, your goal is to hit a player at point blank range from you, and it doesn't really matter where you hit them, it's just as long as you hit them, you're good. And then first person shooters like Overwatch or CSGO, it relies on you being able to hit the person possibly in the head from a distance. So that's much more difficult to do consistently, and in which case that's where things like angle snapping, things like acceleration, those really become factors, but not so much in Minecraft, where it depends entirely just on general accuracy. So the only area in Minecraft that would require you to have some form of pinpoint accuracy would be long range bow shots, but bow fighting is not really based on I guess your consistent ability to hit the other player. I guess that would certainly help, but I guess the more important aspect of bow fighting is just your ability to avoid other shots. So the player who's able to strafe better is going to be the player that wins. The second factor that might influence gameplay would be whether or not the player uses side buttons. I personally don't, so I would not be affected by that, but general idea being that a $1 gaming mouse would not come with side buttons. Just cut down on features because you're trying to achieve a lower cost. Your care for lighting doesn't really affect skill, but you're not going to get that on a $1 gaming mouse, most likely. Your shape, the shape of the mouse is probably one of the more important features other than the sensor. So you have to reach that $1 price point with as few materials as possible, I'm guessing. So I'm guessing that the shapes of these mice are just not good. I guess when compared to higher end mice like, I don't know, Logitech G303 or Logitech G Pro or Razer Death Adder, just throwing some names out. And then the last thing I thought about with regards to the mouse is the quality of the buttons. So I'm pretty picky, and these are, or I'm sorry, buttons are important, but I'm not that picky. So the idea is, as long as I can click as fast as I normally can, then I should be okay, and I won't really get upset over it. So, some things to think about after addressing these factors. I guess if I start playing with this $1 gaming mouse, I'm going to have to figure out, I'm going to have to change my playstyle in one way or another. So, because I'm assuming that it has a worse sensor, I'm either going to have to increase my sensitivity so I'm not as affected by the bad sensor, or I'm going to have to acclimate to the crappiness of the sensor and try to change my playstyle. So, for example, with a good mouse, I would be able to flick one way or another and be able to run away really easily. With a bad mouse, that's probably not going to be possible. Instead, I'm probably just going to have to take them head on, try to combo out, or just try to water and rod and hope for the best, and just turn around and run whenever I get the chance. But basically, turnaround movements, 180s, 360s are really going to be much more difficult. For the sake of not introducing more variables into this already informal experiment, I'm going to say I'm going to keep my sensitivity, because if I were to increase it, I would say aim is going to go out the window, and we're not going to be able to compare at all, like skill with the good mouse versus skill with the bad mouse. So sensitivity is staying the same, and I guess we'll see where we go from there. But yeah, now let's take a look at the actual mouse. And so here it is, the so-called $1 gaming mouse. So I actually expected there to be some side buttons on this mouse, at least from the pictures, but I guess I was cheaped out. But this isn't going to be a full in-depth review, it's more of just an impressions video. But I guess just looking at general shape, it's kind of squarish actually, and yeah, it's one of those older cheap optical sensors, so something to keep note of. I guess my hypothesis was correct, and that the sensor was actually going to be trash, but I guess we'll see in game. Regarding the actual shape of the mouse though, sides are pretty flat, so I'm kind of happy about that, but it's a tiny mouse. Razer Death Adder for comparison. So that is somewhat puzzling. I mean, granted, the Razer Death Adder is a large mouse, but still, I would have expected this thing to be a little bit bigger. So yeah, let's hop in game and see what happens. Okay, so now we're in game, and before we actually hop into a duel, I guess I was just gonna do duels as my way of testing this mouse out, just to get some first impressions before we actually start this experiment. But before I actually hop into a duel, I actually want to see how the sensor is, and yes, it is trash, but it's interesting kind of trash. So usually, you know, cheap sensors, at least on gaming mice I've had in the past, like, you know, sub $10 gaming mice, is what will happen is, you know, every time you make a movement that exceeds the maximum tracking speed of the mouse, it'll spin out and it'll stop moving. So it'll kind of just like judder to a stop like that. On this mouse, instead, if you exceed the tracking speed, the maximum tracking speed, it just kind of keeps going. So like, you can see, I'll try to make it obvious, like when I stop tracking, but I'll lift the mouse up, but you can see it kind of just guesses where I'm going to go based on, I guess, some initial velocity that I carry the mouse with. So that's a blessing and a curse. Basically, if I exceed the tracking, you know, speed when I'm in close in melee, that can actually completely throw off my aim. But on the other hand, if I exceed the tracking speed on another trash sensor, I guess what would happen is I just wouldn't be able to run. I would basically just freeze up and not be able to do anything. So I guess this is a better alternative. I guess it's lesser of two evils though. So let's just hop into a game and see what happens. Alright, I'm probably just going to do a few matches. I'm not going to try to go for a high streak. I'm just going to see what I could do to win. And see if I can win at all. I imagine that this was actually going to be pretty difficult though. Basically, I just can't get low. And if they head on me like that, I have to be careful. Yeah, basically I have to be... Oh, this person's accusating me. That's funny. Alright, okay. So now I have to... Yeah, so that's what I mean. I can't really like run as well. Can't really turn around. Turnaround shots are gonna be very difficult. I don't know how difficult bowling's gonna be actually. Okay. Alright, so that's our first match. That went pretty well. That person wasn't all too great, but you know, I guess we'll really get put to the test when we fight a better player. Alright, so this mouse does seem to register all the clicks, so that's a good sign. I don't think the buttons are, I guess, neutered in any way. So let's just keep going. I guess it'll be easier to see the flaws with this mouse once I lose. But things seem to be going pretty well right now. So, I guess, optimistically speaking, and my experience thus far, it's very easy to exceed the maximum tracking speed, but it doesn't seem to be that much of a problem. At least in Melee, I haven't really been getting thrown off, so. Alright, we're trading with this guy. Okay. Oh. Alright, the sensor just stopped tracking there. That was really weird. I don't know if that was a liftoff distance issue, but I guess that's a consequence of the accident. So let's just do one more match here and we'll call it. Good luck, have fun, I'm bad. Alright, so those are just a few matches. So it's not like this mouse is impossible to win with. In fact, I was actually playing decently well with it. And of course, you know, duels isn't the best test ever. So I guess the idea behind doing more tests would be, you know, I just get more, larger sample size, just instances using this mouse. So I'm probably going to try out different game modes with the mouse. That's probably just going to be the future of this series. I'm going to try, you know, maybe ranked matches on Badline. I might try UHC with it. I might try Sky Wars. And so you guys in the comments can hopefully suggest some other alternate game modes that would put this thing to the test. So I want to thank you all for watching, and peace soup.